As we keep a very close eye on the Canadians who are right there on that ship, on that luxury cruise ship in Yokohama, Japan. We know, as we had breaking news this morning, there are 41 new cases of coronavirus this morning on that ship from passengers. On top of the 20 we already know. And of those numbers, we know that 5 new cases are Canadians. So that brings the total number of Canadian passengers affected to 7. All of the passengers, as I said, no longer on board. They're all being looked after in isolation wards in hospital. But all of the remaining passengers on board are confined to quarters as they try to curb the spread of coronavirus through this cruise ship. Yesterday, you met Trudy Clement, and because things have changed, we thought we would go back to talk to Trudy again inside her suite where she remains quarantined. Trudy, great to have you back with us again this morning. Thank you for returning.
Thank you.
As I mentioned in introducing you, I wanted to find out how you're doing, given that so much in this story there has changed. 41 more confirmed cases of coronavirus on board. How do you feel about that?
It's distressing. We've seen the ambulances coming and going all day long, and just looking over our balcony, we've seen the people loaded on and taken away, and it's extremely scary.
I was just going to say it must be frightening for you.
It is. It's just like, who's next? My husband and I were okay so far, but we don't know what's going to happen.
I understand, Trudy, that they gave the passengers thermometers yesterday for you to check your temperature. Have you been doing that? Have you been checking?
We received ours today, and we've checked our temperatures 3 times so far today. They haven't given us instructions on when or how to do it, but yeah, we're okay. We're within the range.
Okay, good. Just keep checking. We'll keep hoping that for good health there as you stay put in your room. The 5 more cases, 7 Canadians now with this.
Yep.
Has there been much talk among the Canadians on board? I mean, I know you're confined to quarters, but did you know any of the people who are now sick and off the ship, or any connection to them at all?
We're not sure. I mean, I've talked to the Canadians that we have met on the ship, and they're all still here. And that's about 7 other Canadians that are here, but I don't know which ones were taken off the ship.
In your group, what is the discussion? What are you saying, you Canadians on board?
The discussion. We're thinking that maybe being on the ship is not the ideal thing for us to be doing. We'd all like to get home. If we're going to get this disease, we'd like to be home to have it, isolation or not, but not here. It's not a good situation.
But is there an alternative at this point?
No. We've been in our cabin for 3 days now, and we're not one of the lucky ones that have been offered to go out and walk for an hour, maybe tomorrow, but not yet.
Oh, because you told me yesterday you were thinking that you would be able to be outside at some point. That hasn't yet happened.
No, not yet.
So as you say, thankfully you have your balcony and you have a little bit of outdoor and air access.
We do, and we can see all the media out there and the ambulances and people being taken off by ambulance, but yeah, we have the fresh air.
We have heard, when we spoke yesterday, we were talking about how you had no idea how long you were going to be there. Now we've heard from cruise line officials that the quarantine is going to end on the 19th. So here we are on the 7th. So that is in keeping with the length of time I think you were initially told. But is it nice to know there is at least an end date to this?
It's really nice to know, to think that there's an end date to this. But we've been in contact with the Foreign Affairs and everybody involved in that, and they cannot guarantee that we can get on a plane and get home. And once we get home, what's going to happen? Will we be quarantined again after being quarantined on the ship? we've got no answers, and that's a big problem for all of us.
Now that's interesting because the health minister did say yesterday that she didn't feel at the point that there would be a need for any additional quarantine for the cruise ship passengers, in that you would have spent your 14 days there.
We have not received that information. Even Foreign Affairs, when we were in contact earlier, didn't even have a list of the names of the Canadians that were on this ship.
So information is again a problem. What help do you need?
Yeah.
What are you looking for at this point, Trudy?
We're looking for information. Exactly what you said, Heather. We just need to know what's going to happen after this quarantine is over, where we go from here. My husband and I do have a plane booked, but are we going to be allowed to get on it? And what's going to happen when we arrive in Toronto? We need answers.
Well, Trudy, we'll stay in touch. I mentioned before we went on the air that I didn't expect to be back to you so soon, but this is a story that's changing very quickly for you and the other passengers there. So we'll have another conversation, I'm sure. I hope you stay well. Keep checking that temperature, you and your husband, and thanks for the time again today, Trudy.
All right, thank you.
All right, thinking of you, Trudy Clement, one of the Canadians on board and in quarantine on the Diamond Princess in Yokohama, Japan.